There are 27 teams to discuss on this list, so let's not waste any time. Click like and subscribe, please and thank you. Also, some quick admin. I know as much about politics as Joey Barton does about women's rights. The only reason this is just EU teams is just for my own sanity. I don't exactly think the Vatican has a vibrant footballing history. Welcome to Good Sport Reviews, and this is one team from every EU country that no longer exists. Austria FC Kärnten. Now, just another thing for this list video, please bear with me on the pronunciations, I will struggle. Founded in 1920 in the Kärnten League, the side formerly known as Austria Klagenfurt was successfully promoted into the Austrian Regional League Central in 1960, winning the league title just 1 year later and reaching the Austrian Football Bundesliga following this. However, a relegation in 1899 meant that financial struggles really started to mount up, and they formed a merger between the Corinthian clubs in order to mount a sustained push for the higher divisions, and a mutual understanding was formed between SK Austria and Velascia SV, with them changing their names to FC Austria Klagenfurt VSV and gaining promotion to the First League, or what is now known today as Austria's Second Division. Fast forward 10 years, the side's name changed to FC Kärnten, with them moving on to win the Austrian Cup and Austrian Super Cup in 2001, as well as the Second Division title at the end of the 2000-2001 campaign. This led to them competing in the UEFA Cup under then manager Walter Schachner and looking like they would remain at the top, but sadly a relegation in 2004 led to a decline in fortunes, and following sales of parts of the stadium, the club entered administration in 2008 before ceasing operations in 2009. Belgium, Beerschot AC and K Beerschot VAC. This may be a cheat because it's two clubs and one entry, but as list god, I decide what goes. V Beerschot VAC were formed in 1899 following the departure of several players from the Antwerp squad, and they played in the 1920 Olympic Games stadium known as the Kiel, where they went on to win 7 Belgian First Division titles, a Belgian Second Division title and a Belgian Cup before disbanding in 1999 due to consistent financial issues. During this time, a side known as KFC Germinal Akkeren were making a move from the Akkeren in the north of Antwerp to the south in order to install at the Kiel, and with this in mind, the club changed its identity to Germinal Beerschot, adopting a lot of the disbanded club's history and carrying on as a version of that side which won multiple league titles, going on to add a further Division 2 title to the mix and 2 more Belgian Cups before rebranding again in 2011 to Beerschot AC and entering bankruptcy in 2013 due to them being unable to present the Belgian Football Association with a financial plan and losing their First Division licence following a history which saw them play in the UEFA Cup against Celtic in the 91-92 season and the UEFA Cup Winners' Cup 6 years later. Bulgaria FC Shipka Sofia. On the 2nd of May 1923, a merger took place between Bulgarian local teams Pobeda Kulyatsit and Mephisto, not the Marvel villain, and a new club was formed with the name Shipka in honour of the historic Battle of Shipka Pass. After 5 years, the side gained promotion into the First Division of Sofia and proceeded to advance through the ranks, winning another promotion in 1937 to the Bulgarian State Football Championship and also winning a Bulgarian Cup in 1939 before dissolving in November of 1944 and merging with Bulgarian State Football Championship winners AS23, following unifying agreement made by an accountant at the Ministry of War to form FC Shavdar Sofia. After this, it was taken over by Vladimir Stoichev from AS23, who became the new club chairman, and following a decline of the club in the later 1940s, another merger was made with CDVs, eventually forming PFC CSKA Sofia, the most successful club in Bulgarian football history. FC Shipka Sofia may have only had a short history in football, but what they started led to a monumental club being formed for the country. Croatia Inter Zaprešić. Established in 1929 as NK Sava, Inter Zaprešić have a rich lineage in Croatian football's history, with the side who dissolved in 2022 due to financial issues stemming from COVID-19, winning 3 Croatian Second Division titles, as well as the 1992 Croatian Cup, in which they beat HASK Gdanski 2-1 on aggregate across the 2 legs. They went through many name changes throughout their lifespan due to multiple sponsorships, the most notable of which was in 2003 when their main sponsor, the ceramics factory Inca, ceased sponsoring the side, so they were renamed to the previously mentioned Inter Zaprešić. They have competed in European competition, with them being knocked out of the UEFA Cup in the 2005-06 season by Red Star Belgrade, 7-1 on aggregate, and between 2002 and 2005 they went through a purple patch as they decided to loan players in due to the club's financial issues rather than buying them, and they signed players like Vedran Korluka, Eduardo and even Luka Modric. However, following the end of these spells, they dropped further and further down the divisions, and as mentioned earlier on, they dissolved in 2022 because of the amount of debt they acquired before and during COVID. Cyprus Alki Larnaca FC. Based in the town of Larnaca between 1948 and 2014, Alki Larnaca FC went through many ups and downs during their 66-year history, with the 1979 being their most successful, despite finishing third in the Cypriot Championship and playing in the cup final, which they lost to Apoel Nicosia. Because of this, they qualified for the UEFA Cup, which didn't make things much better as they were eliminated in the first round by Dynamo Bucharest 12-0 on aggregate across 2 legs. Fast forward 30 years and they were crowned champions of the Cypriot 2nd Division in 2010 and gained promotion into the top flight before the club dissolved in 2014 due to financial issues arising from players' wages and a lack of ticket sales over the last few seasons. Czech Republic, SK Victoria Journey. We're off to Czech Republic now to look at SK Victory Journey, a club who were formed back in 1927 and were predominantly a cup side, with them not making a lot of notable history until the 2000s. The club won Divizie B of the Czech 4th Division in 2007-08 and actually refused promotion, feeling they weren't ready to go up a flight and compete with the bigger teams, and they did the same for the following 4 seasons until they became a farm team, or a feeder team as it's known, for Czech 2 Liga side FK Bohemian in 2011-12, and the club refused promotion for a 5th time that season, having won the division title yet again, with SK Zapi instead being promoted in their place. In fact, it wasn't until they won 5 league titles in 6 seasons that they accepted promotion in the 2013-14 season, which led to them winning 2 league titles in a row before they folded in March of 2019 during the winter break of the Bohemian Football League season, and their results up until that point were annulled. Denmark Kolding FC. Only existing for 9 years, Kolding FC were formed from a merger between the 2 oldest clubs from Kolding, Kolding IF and Kolding Bold Club. In their first season, the club, which had been relegated from 1 division, finished the campaign mid-table in the 2nd division, finishing 9th amongst 16 teams before finishing the following campaign just 1 point away from the promotion spot, and things didn't really get much better from there, as in the winter break of the 2006 season, the club found themselves in 3rd and needed just 2 points to gain promotion, which they didn't do after suffering 5 losses and a draw in the remaining 5 matches. After all of these issues, the side emerged with Phage Bold Club in 2011, but following the dissolve of this, the side split up, with Kolding FC never being re-established. Estonia FC Norma Tallinn. Norma Tallinn became the first Estonian champions following the collapse of the Soviet Union. Just a little fact for you there. Formed in 1959, Tallinn quickly became one of the biggest football clubs in Estonia and won the league title on 5 occasions, as well as 6 Estonian SSR Cup titles. After the country regained independence in 1991, Norma, the club, won the first 2 Meistriliiga titles, and in 1994 they finished level on points with Flora Tallinn, and based on this they had to participate in the championship playoff, but due to a protest over the disqualification of another club called Taltave Tallinn due to match fixing allegations, the club fielded their youth squad and lost the playoff 5-2, with them being relegated the following season and dissolving after the 1996-97 season due to financial issues. Finland AC Kajaani. Following a merger between two clubs in 2006, the two sides formed AC Kajaani, with the newly formed team taking over Tarmos Place in the fourth tier of the Finnish Soccer League system. The side won a first league title in 2011, going the entire season unbeaten and ending with a goal difference of 87 by scoring 98 in 18 matches. And after this, they won the league title in the Kärnten and earned a second promotion in a row, entering them into the second tier of the footballing system. A few more successful seasons followed, including their best in 2018 when they finished 8th in the second division, before the club entered financial crisis after they made a final push to achieve promotion to the top flight and spent almost €300,000 on players' wages, only for it to have the opposite effect and see the side relegated. And while the club became debt-free in 2020, the chairman, Arvo Toivonen, said he could no longer fund the club after spending £1.7 million already, and after people were unable to meet the financial demands, the club folded shortly after. France, the White Rovers. The White Rovers were an amateur football club based in Paris, which existed for only 8 years between 1891 and 1899, after being founded by Englishman Jack Wood. The side utilised Anglo-American football players and became one of the pioneers of amateur football in France, with them being one of the 6 football clubs that participated in France's first ever football championship in 1894. Despite being regarded as favourites to win the championship, the club finished as runners-up 4 times in a row between 1894 and 1897 and started to decline after struggling to find players for the side. And in 1899, they made an agreement to dissolve due to a lack of players. This was because many of the people in the squad had returned to Great Britain or the US, and this led to the side ending their final campaign at the bottom of the Parisian League table with a goal record of 0 scored and 30 conceded, with the team ending on 0 points. Germany, BFC Frankfurt Berlin. Club founder George Liu came from a family of well-known sportsmen descending from Frankfurt, and he went to Berlin in order to pursue his artistic career, hence the name BFC Frankfurt Berlin. Originally founded as a rugby side, the club eventually became a predominantly football-based organisation towards the end of the decade, with them playing in several of Belgium's early football leagues and even winning the Allgemeine Deutsche Sportbund in 1898. Sadly, the club folded at some point in the early 1900s, as most of the club's members left the club to join Union 92 Berlin, which eventually became known as Blauweb 90 Berlin, who we've covered in a previous video on this channel. If you want to go check that out, please make sure to click subscribe. Despite their short history, the club is recognised as one of the earliest in German footballing history and was one of the founding members of the German Football Association, or as it's now known today, the DFB. Greece, PAE Kerkyra. Originally based in the 4th tier of Greek football, PAE Kerkyra was formed in 1984 in the village of Kassiopi, northeast Corfu, and in 2012 they became champions of Delta Ethniki Group, which is the 4th division of the Greek football pyramid, gaining promotion into the Football League 2 for their first time in their history. And their success didn't stop there, as they finished 3rd in the 2012-13 campaign and entered the 2nd division. Sadly, following a relegation the following season, the club couldn't compete in the professional league due to the amount of debts inside of the club, so a merger was pitched to the owners of Corfu and Kassiopi so the club could continue in the league system, and the side was renamed to PAE AOK Kerkyra a few years later, and the side did not declare participation in the Football League, and they ceased operations after being relegated to the local championship. Hungary, SC Rush Uzhhorod. Like Austria and a lot of other teams on this list, I'm really sorry for the pronunciation. SC Rush Uzhhorod plays their first game on the 4th of June 1926, 1 year after forming. They lost this match 2-0 to CSSK Uzhhorod, with their second being a 3-3 draw 1 year later. They competed in the Regional Championship of Slovakia from 1929, winning the division in 3 separate years, 1929, 1933 and 1936, and they continued through their history, finishing no lower than 2nd place until the 1936-37 season, where they finished 11th as they were promoted into the Czechoslovakia First League for a season. And during World War II, the side competed in the 2nd football division, but dissolved formally following the end of the war, with many of their players joining the Soviet Spartakiad competition. Ireland Gordon Highlanders FC. I always love going back to the early years of football, and this is a prime example as Gordon Highlanders were founded in 1884 when a regiment of the British Army took refuge in the Highlands themselves. The side was a regular entrant in the amateur era of football, entering the Aberdeenshire Cup on multiple occasions and the short-lived Banffshire Cup in 1890. The side won the Irish Cup in 1890 also, defeating Cliftonville in the finals replay, and they went on to achieve further success, reaching the final of the Belfast Charity Cup that same year before being stationed in Glasgow following a relocation of the regiment in 1890. Things were looking good until the 1896-97 season. They were forced to relocate out of the Glasgow Cup due to another relocation, and they did not renew their Scottish Football Association membership, with their last success being winning the Army Cup in 1898, where they defeated Royal Artillery before they relocated to South Africa, where an actual bombshell burst on the football pitch, with the two sides playing the match simply by filling up the crater and carrying on. The side dissolved on near the beginning of World War II in 1939. Italy, Naples FBC. There's a lot to unpack here, so I'll do my best. Originally founded as a football and cricket club, Naples FBC played their matches at the Campo dei Bagnoli and became the first Central Southern team to join the FIF, which was a precursor to the FIGC, or the Italian Football Federation as it's known today. Because of this, they would manage very large travel expenses, which didn't help them later down the line. They won 2 Lipton Cups in 1909 and 1911, beating Palermo in both finals, and they quickly became the most competitive team in the city. They won the Prima Categoria Sud in 1913 and 2 second Categoria Sud titles before multiple mergers and dissolves of their club resulted in them merging with Internazionale Napoli in 1922 to form FBC Internazionale Naples, which is today known as SSC Napoli, and it was this move which gave Napoli the famous N crest and white shorts, which we all know today. This is a team I'll probably do a separate video on because their history is so incredible and I've only just scratched the surface, and it's a shame that they folded when they did in 1926. Latvia FC Gauja. This side existed for several decades in the first Latvian league, but it wasn't until 1978 they became known as FK Gauja and known to people outside of the Valmiera region. They debuted in the top Latvian league and faced several difficult campaigns, almost being relegated on 3 occasions, but in 1985 the side won their first medal after finishing 3rd, with the club's forward Janis Bakis finishing as top scorer, which benefited them in the next 2 seasons as they reached the Latvian Cup final in both of them. However, their biggest success came in 1990 when they won the Latvian Championship, which at the time was the biggest success in Valmiera football history. Despite all this positivity, the club has struggled, and in 1992 they finished 10th from 12 teams and experienced a major issue. In 1993 they lost 17 of their 18 league matches and almost went bankrupt, becoming completely defunct in 1997 while in the 2nd Latvian league. Lithuania FK Atlantis. While formed in 1962, the side went through many name changes during the first 30 years of their existence before they finally settled on FK Atlantis in 1996 while competing in Soviet-occupied Klaipėda. The original name Atlantis was used in the Lithuanian Championship and Granitas in the Soviet Union Championship, but following Lithuanian independence, the tradition of the two was lost and the side had to be reformed in 1996 because of this, and they soon became the strongest side in Klaipėda, playing in the top division for a good number of years. They won the league title in 1978, 1980, 1981 and 1984 before in the summer of 2018 the club faced financial problems after their bank accounts were suspended and players actually ran away from the club. A few years later, the club were excluded from the A-Liga alongside FK Palanga due to the manipulation of match results, and they were relegated and fined €30,000 because of this, with 5 players being banned from football for up to 12 months, and the club eventually went under due to the financial restraints from this. Luxembourg Spora. Following the amalgamation of Racing Club Luxembourg and Sporting Club Luxembourg in 1923, the sides CA Spora were formed and competed for multiple league titles against FA Red Boys Dividange, with Spora winning 7 league titles and 3 Luxembourg Cups in just 15 years, and Red Boys winning the rest. They played in the Gauliga Moselen during the German occupation of Luxembourg, but following the end of World War II, Spora managed to continue to win titles, winning 4 more league titles and 5 more cups, and the side made history in 1956 when they faced and defeated West German champions Borussia Dortmund. Several more cups and titles followed until 2005 when a merger was formed between Spora, CS Alliance 01 and Union Luxembourg to form Racing FC Union Luxembourg, who still compete to this day in the national division, with their most recent league finish being 10th place. Malta Leisure Athletic. Now, okay, technically this team is still going strong, with them competing in the Malta Football League today and winning the first division title in 2017, as well as the 2nd/3rd division knockout cup in 1995. However, I spent so long looking for football teams in Malta that no longer exist that I think I've developed PTSD towards the word Malta as a whole. So this club is on the list because in 1944, leisure amateurs were formed and took part in competitions organised by the Malta Football Association, but they disbanded 3 years later before being founded again in 1948 by the club's president, joining the MFA and entering Division 3. So yeah, I guess I'm going to count it. Netherlands VSV Tonegido. 1921 was the year VSV Tonegido was formed, and 1923 was the year the club originally disbanded before it was refounded 1 year later by former members of the group. The side went through many years without any major success, not winning their first trophy until 1998 before they went into their peak period in 2002-03 when they won successive KNVB Amateur Cups and the Dutch Amateur Super Cup. The club eventually moved to Apert Park, Toulouse, and because of this, it was no longer possible to maintain youth football at Tonegido, and as a result, there was a severe lack of youth players coming through the ranks, and after long-standing liquidation issues and a lack of sponsorship for the group, they disbanded in July of 2010. Poland Amica Ronki. Look at that badge, that's intimidating as anything. It's not as intimidating as Wigan's mascot being a pie. The side were formed as SSA Amis in 1992, and because of the name, many people associated them with the store, which sold electronics, most notable kitchen stoves, which is where the club got its nickname from, The Stoves. I'm not joking. Because of this, the team gained a tremendous financial advantage over other sides and won the Polish Cup on 3 occasions, a Polish Super Cup twice, and participated in the UEFA Cup 5 times, before in 2006-07 the side announced they would merge with Lech Poznan to form a new club called KKS Lech Poznan going into the season. But because of the Amica company wanting to represent a bigger club and a lot of the staff and players simply going over to Lech Poznan instead, the club ended up having to field a lot of its reserve players, leading to its closure in 2007 after poor performances and a major lack of investment. Portugal União de Madeira. This side is most known for its 6 appearances in the Portuguese top flight and for winning the AF Madeira Championship 16 times in Division 4 after it was founded in 1913. Shortly afterwards, the club became one of the founding members of the Madeira Football Association, which is still functioning today, competing in the annual AF Madeira Cup, and they also won the 3rd tier championship on the 2010-11 season and gained promotion into the professional leagues after being away for 7 years. A few years later, the club were relegated in 2016, and in 2018 they were relegated again into the 3rd tier, resulting in them struggling financially. And because of COVID-19, things even got tougher, with them being unable to even attend matchday fixtures and had to pull out of the halfway mark of the 2020-21 season, along with 2 other clubs, which set them up for the 23rd of November 2021 when the team were forced to dissolve and close their doors for good. Romania FC Unirea Urziceni. Originally formed in 1954, Unirea Urziceni became a football team and strived to reach the higher division of the Romanian Football League, one day after spending the majority of its early years in the lower leagues. In 2008, they reached League One for the first time and gained qualification to the Champions League group stage, where they picked up 8 points, beating Rangers 4-1 at the Ibrox, 1-0 against Sofia, and a 1-1 draw against VfB Stuttgart, ending in 3rd place and going into the Europa League knockout stage, where they were beaten 4-1 on aggregate. This gave them plenty of momentum to win the league title just 1 year later, and looking like they could take on anybody. Sadly, in 2010, the club started to decline, with Dumitru Bucșaru selling almost the entire team during the early stages of the season because of the accrued debt which was owed to Steaua owner Gigi Berleski, and they were forced to loan players from lower league sides to cover the losses. They avoided relegation but did not renew their license in 2011 and dissolved that same year. Slovakia FC VSS Košice. Founded 121 years ago, VSS Košice have an incredibly rich history, with the side winning the Slovak League twice, the Slovak Cup 5 times, and the Czechoslovak Cup once as well. They won through several relegations and promotions in the 1990s and actually managed to reach the European stage on several occasions, reaching the Champions League group stage in 1997-98 season, which consisted of the Košice, Juventus, Feyenoord and Manchester United. They also featured in the Europa League qualifying stages several times and won 14 major pieces of silverware in their lifespan, with the 2008-9 Slovak Cup side containing a certain Premier League winner known as Nemanja Matic, who remains the side's record departure when Chelsea bought him for €1.75 million. After several relegations, the team ceased operations in July 2017, with the fanbase announcing their intention to re-establish the club and enter the Slovak 6th League, which is what they did going into the 2018-19 season. Slovenia Bela Krajina. Bela Krajina were formed in 1930, playing in the Slovenian Republic League until the Second World War, which resulted in them being dropped into the lower regional leagues of the Yugoslav football system. The club had a mixed lifespan, winning the 2001 league title in the Slovenian Third League before they finished second in the 2003-04 Second League, where they lost the promotion playoffs against Drava Prjuj, only being promoted because of other teams withdrawing. They then finished 9th in the top flight, narrowly avoiding relegation, before finally going down in 2006-07 season after finishing bottom of the league, where they failed to obtain a license for the Slovenian Third League due to financial issues, and because of this they dissolved going into the 2015-16 season. Spain Moderno Football Club. It's hard to fit a lot of history in just over 1 year, but Moderno FC, who were founded in November 1902 and dissolved in January 1904, gave it their best go. The side are best known for winning the first Madrid championship in 1903, defeating the likes of Moncloa FC and Iberia FC to win the title. They were created due to the increasing popularity of football in Spain by its first and only president, Fernando Kuma, with their first match being a 3-1 victory against Sport Football Club, catchy name I know. They took part in the Concurso de Bandas, which was the first tournament by the recently established Madrid Football Federation, and thus introduced competitive football into the Madrid region before they played Madrid FC on Christmas Day of 1902, a match which they lost 16-0, insert stop it, he's already dead gif here. They won the 1903 Centro Championship, which gave them the right to represent Madrid in the Copa del Rey. However, the duty fell to Madrid FC, as they were the only club allowed to play in the tournament for some reason unknown to this day. They lost the final, and because of this it put a strain on the Madrid footballing landscape, and they had to merge in early 1904 to form Madrid Moderno Football Club before the word Moderno faded out of its name and spelling, the end of the short-lived side. Sweden Juventus IF. When you think of Juventus, you immediately think of Italy and the side who dominated Italian football for decades. However, in Sweden, there was another Juventus side who didn't quite have that same effect. Formed in 1948 by Italians who'd travelled to Sweden following World War II, the club entered the lower divisions of Swedish football, not entering the top flight until 1999, when they entered Division 6, which was the 7th footballing tier in the country. They then went through 2 relegations and 3 promotions in 7 years before entering their glory year in 2008, winning promotion into Division 4, winning the VLT Cup and also the District Championship in futsal, completing the treble. Despite reaching Tier 5 in 2015, the club began a downward slope in terms of finance, with the side building up massive debt, resulting in a lack of fan interaction and sponsorship, and they merged into IFK Stocksund in 2016 to allow them to continue in some form. And that's our list. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you are new around here, please make sure to click like and subscribe, and comment down below what type of videos you would like to see in this longer sort of format. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.